Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we will learn how to create a responsive header design website using only HTML and CSS. So as you can see here on my computer screen, I have this one logo as a text, Halloween. Also, we have this navigation bar, and on this nav bar, we have some beautiful hover effect. Also, next on our right side, we have this button, and you can see there's also some hover effect on this button. On the left side, we have this title, Halloween Trick or Treat. Also, we have this small paragraph. And also, lastly, we have this button underneath. Lastly, we have this on our right side. We have this amazing image, and you can see there's some border, CSS border around it. And you can see this, the use of box shadow also, the colors. Also, this website is responsive. Now, I'm going to inspect this, and I'm going to show you that this header design is responsive. Now you can see this is a responsive header design. So we'll create this using only HTML and CSS. So kindly, before starting this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share with your fellow developers. So without wasting time, let's start the video. Okay. Hello guys, welcome back again. So here I have created one folder called responsive header design. So inside this folder I have one image, this image that I'll be using to create this website design. Okay, so we are going to open this folder in our text editor. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. So let's open this with code. You can use any text editor you want. So for me personally, I prefer VS Code. So here, this is my image. So next we're going to create one file, that is index.html. Also, we are going to create another file. Just say console. Next, we'll create another file for our CSS. So I'm going to name this file style.css. Also here in my index page, index HTML, I'm going to write the basic HTML structure. Don't worry, this I'm using tab 9. So also download this amazing tool. This is a free extension you can get in your extension. It makes your work easier and you can code faster with tab 9. So next I'm going to give it a title. So in this tutorial we are creating a responsive header design. Okay, next I want to connect my HTML with CSS. So I'll use this link tag, link CSS. Now you can see it automatically connected our CSS to HTML. Also next, what I'm going to do is we are under the body here. Firstly save your file. Now come back to your Explorer. Now you can see we have this Chrome index and style CSS. So we are going to open this in our browser using the index. Simply double tap it, and now you can see we have a blank here, so we don't have anything right now. So come back to your text editor. Next I'm going to do is you're going to create one header. Inside this header I'm going to create one nav with a class name header nav. Also I'm going to create another class called container. Also I'm going to add one more class, that is flex container. So in this div we have three classes. Okay, this is the first class, and this is the second class, and this is the third class. Inside this nav I'm going to create my logo, so by using the h1 tag. Also this one I'm going to give it a class logo. Also we need to add a tag. So for now I'll just leave it, we're not going to add any link. Next I will add a class logo link. Also here I'm going to add my text, which is going to be Halloween. Okay, now save your file, come back to your text browser, refresh it. Now you can see we have our logo as a text. Next, come back to your text editor. Let me just remove this. Let me just disable for the okay. So next, after this nav, after this h1 tag, we're going to create list items. Also, I'm going to add the a tag. Here, we're going to add our text home. Also, we need to add a class, this anchor tag. So I'm going to add a class called header menu link. Okay. So simply we're going to duplicate this list item. So we need to add more navs, more list items. Okay. Also, I'm going to change my text about this one. I will say goodies. Also, lastly, I'm going to give it a, let's say, blog. Okay. Now simply save this file. Come back to your browser, refresh your web page. Now you can see we have our list items. Next, we need to add an image and a button. So before we add an image, we need to add a button next to this nav bars. Okay. So by doing that, at the end of this UL, sorry, I should have created a UL. So here we're going to create UL with a class name header menu. Then I'm also going to add another class called flex container. Now simply remove this UL and we're going to add at the end of this, we're going to close this UL at the end of this LI. Now you can see we have our UL. Inside we have inside the UL we have list items. Okay. After this, at the end of this UL tag, we're going to add a button. So I'll use the button. Sorry, this one should be, we should add here add a class, and this one I'll name it ghost button. Okay. Or let's just say ghost button. Okay. You can give any name you want, but you can say BT1 if you want, BT12. So for me, I'll just try, that's what I prefer. So next I'll say here explore more. Okay. So that should be O. Oops. So next, after this, the end of this nav, we need to create a section here. So I'll create section. In this section, I'll give it a class, and this class I'll give it header content. Inside this section, we need to create a figure, and for this figure, I'll give it a class header img. So this is where we're going to add our img image. Also here, I'm going to add image using the img source. So here I'm going to say Halloween. So you can see, for those of you who don't have the image, I'll provide in my video link description so that you can also download and follow this tutorial. So go to my video link description and get this image, download image. Okay. So I've chosen my image. So next, this one we don't need it, remove it. Also I don't need this. Okay. Also we need to give a class if we need, but we don't need to add a class now. So at the end of this figure, we are going to create another div with a class name header description. So we need to add a description for our image, and also I'm going to add a class container. Inside this div, I'm going to add a h3 tag, or let's use h2 tag, and also this h2 tag I'm going to give it a class header title. Also here I'm going to add my text. So firstly I'm going to say span, then I'm going to choose my title. Okay. So after this span tag, we are going to add, let me just scroll up so that you can see clear what I'm doing here. So next I'm going to add still I'm going to add text. So I'm going to say trick or treat. Okay. Next, we need to add a small paragraph, so I'll use the p tag. Also, I'm going to copy this text that I have here. You can use dummy text if you want. If you have your own text, you can add it. And also, if you want, you can copy this text that I've pasted here. Okay. Lastly, I'm going to add a button. And for this button, I'll give it a class. I'll give it a different class name. So this one, I'll say type button. Also here, I'm going to add my text that says shop now. Now simply save this file, come back to your web browser, refresh your web page. Now you can see we have our image. Also we have our title of the image and the description. And also we have our button. If we scroll up, you can see we also have another button next to our list items. So lastly, we need to style this now. So to style this, we need to go to our style.css. So for this one here, I'm going to do is I'm just going to paste quickly. I don't waste time. You can get your. I've showed this how to get your Google font. I've showed you before how to get your Google font. Simply, you need to go to your browser, then type Google font. Google font. Okay. So simply this way you import your font. You can choose the font you want. There's so many fonts here you can choose. Simply what you need to do is just click the import. If you select a certain font, you come here and select this import. Okay, not link. You select import, then you just import this part. Okay. So for me that one I've already done, and also I have this root colors. This I'm using the HCL colors. So simply I'm going to give you a moment. Just copy the whole of this. Pause the video and copy these colors. Okay. So next I'm going to add the basic CSS structure. Like I will give my box sizing. I'll say box sizing. Sorry, should be box sizing. I'll give it border box. Also I will add a font family. And here I'm going to add my, let me just copy this. Simply paste it there. And also lastly I'm going to say sans serif. Now you can see the importance of this importing the font. This is because you're going to use the as a font family, so you need to import this font. Okay, it is very important for you, or you can just leave it plain if you don't want. But for this tutorial you need to download it, so kindly download that font or just copy the way I've written here. And also you need to have this color. Okay, because we are going to create a round circle, like where you can insert our image. Okay. So next I'm going to add, after this font family, we are going to add a line height of 1. Also I'm going to say list style to be none. I'm going to say margin to be 0. Also padding 0. Next I'm going to make a CSS comment, and here I'm going to say global styling, or you can just say global styles. Okay. For this one, it's like the general of all. Like let's say if we're using the anchor tag, the a tag, I'm going to give it a text decoration to be none. Also I'm going to give it a transition for all the a tag. I'll give a transition of 2.25 seconds. Okay. Also after this, we need to our button. For all the buttons here, I'm going to add a background transparent. Also I'm going to add border to be none. Also I'm going to add cursor to be pointer. Also I'm going to add border radius of 2 Also we are going to add font size of 875.875 Okay. Also we need to add font weight 600, height 2 Also we'll add letter spacing of 0.025 m, okay, 0.25 m. Also we'll add text transform to be uppercase. Lastly, transition for our button, so I'll give it again 0.25 seconds. Next is my button hover, and I'm going to give it a color gray. Next is for our header. I'm going to give it a min height. For all our header, I'm going to give a min height of 100 view height. Also, our images, if you have any image, I'm going to say img, because that's when the CSS for inserting an image is img, okay? I mean the HTML, okay? So for this one, I'll give it a height of 100%. Also, I'm going to say object fit to be cover. Next, I'll add object position. Excuse me. So next, for this object position, I'll give it 50% by 50%, or let's make it to 80. Next, I'll add width. For my width, I'll give it 100%. And by the way, if you're using, you can use flex basis, or if you know flexbox, you can use flex basis. And if you are beginner, you can use width. The reason why I'm giving percentage is because we want to make this responsive, okay? When you use the percentage, you are going to make your website responsive. So don't use pixel. So use percentage when you want to make things responsive, okay? So next is my paragraph. For all my paragraph here, I'm going to say P, open curly braces. I'm going to give it a color gray. Also, I'm going to add font size 0.75 m. Also, we'll add hyphens 0, or you can say auto. Line height 1.5. Lastly, I'm going to say margin to be 1m0. Next is we are going to style our container. So here I'm going to make a CSS comment, and I'll say container. For this one, I'm going to start with my class container. And here I'm going to give a padding of 1m, okay? Or you can say em if you want. Next, I'll say flex container, my class flex container, and I'm going to say display to be flex. By the way, if you're having trouble with Flexbox, if you never use this Flexbox, there's a whole tutorial for Flexbox. You can not find in my video tutorials, but you can go to Travis Media. He will show you a full 20 minutes video on how to use the Flexbox. Okay, so I highly suggest that you go and watch that video if you want to know more about Flexbox. So simply go to Travis Media YouTube and watch 20 minutes of Flexbox. Next, we're going to style is our class header nav. So here I'm going to make a CSS comment again. This time I'll say header nav. Here I'm going to say logo. So I'm going to start with my logo link. For this class, I'll add color. Next, we're going to add font weight of 600. Also, I'm going to add letter spacing of 0.2125, okay, 125 m. 125M. Lastly, I'm going to say text transform to be uppercase. Next is my header nav. Sorry, this should be a class. So if you're using a class, you will say dot. Okay, header nav. For this header nav, I will add align items to be center. Also, I will say flex direction to be column. Next is my header menu. For this class, I will say flex wrap to be wrap. Also, I'm going to say justify content to be center. Also, we're going to add padding of 0.75 m0. Next is my class header menu, and this time is my header menu link. For this class, I'll add color to be black. Also, I'm going to add display to be block. Again, I'm going to add font size of 0.75 m. Font weight, for this time I'll give it 500. Also, we're going to add padding again, and I'll say 0.5 m by 0.75 m. Also, we need to add text transform to be uppercase. Next, I'm going to say header menu link. This time I'm going to add hover effect on our header menu link. Color. Also, we are going to add text decoration to be underlined. So save your file, come back to your web browser, refresh it. Now you can see we have our this. You can see this way what I mean when I say text decoration to be underlined. You can see there's a line under our nav under our list items. Also, we have our logo. So come back to your text editor. Next, I'm going to do is style my button. So I'll start with ghost button. This is my first button. Okay, here I'm going to add border, and I'm going to give it 1.25 m solid, and I'm going to add a color code. This will create a border around our button. Okay, next I will add min height of 9 m. Also, we'll add padding of 0 by 1 m. Now if you save this, come back to your web browser, refresh it. Now you can see we have this border around our button. Next, I'm going to add a hover effect. So I'll say ghost button hover, and here I'm going to choose color. Okay, simply save this file and come back to your web browser, refresh it. Now you can see there's some hover effect. Next, we're going to style is our header content. So I'll create a CSS comment, and this time I'll say header content, and we'll start with our header image, header img. For this one, I'll say border radius to be 50%. Also, we'll add box shadow, and here I'm going to go here. Then, so simply you can't also. So now I'm going to show you in like you remember we created this route here. Let me just create a space here. So for this route is where we're going to use to create our border now. Okay. So you can see we have these colors. So make sure you also did the same here. So now come back here, and here I'm going to start saying 0, 0. Then I'm going to say 0, then 0, then 0.5 m var and this one here is where you choose your colors. Okay, now this is the root we have in our CSS. So for this one I'll choose dark. Next, simply put a comma here. Again, you need to copy all the, let me just copy this, simply duplicate this, comma, let me just arrange this. So simply what you need to do is we are going to change this to 1. Also we're going to change this to 0.5. Okay, 1.5. So we have 0.5, 1m and 1.5. Also we're going to change our color. So for this one I'll say normal, and this one I'm going to say light. Okay, so after this here I'm going to add a height, and I'll give it 15m. Also I'm going to add margin 2m auto. Also we'll add overflow to be hidden. Next I'll add width of 15m. Next is my header description. This class I'm going to add a few things, like only 2 things, that is margin, auto. So it should be auto. Also I'm going to add a max width of 30m. Next is my title, so I'll say header title. For this one I'll say font size to be 2.5m. Also we'll add letter spacing 0.025. Also we'll add line height. Lastly I'm going to say margin left to be 0.625. okay, m. Simply save your file, come back to your web browser, refresh your web page. Now you can see we have our image. You can see this way the use of using the HCL colors, we created these borders, okay, around our image. Next is our button. So come back to your, after the title here I'm going to say again ghost button. So I mean type button. So before doing that I'm going to say header title again, then I'm going to say span. Here I want to give it a color. So for this color, if I save this file, you will see the first text of our title is going to turn to this color, okay, this color. I'm just make a space there. So after this we need to style is our type button. So I'll say type button, and for this one I'll add margin top to be 1.5m. Also we'll add border around, so I'll say border, and here I'm going to 1.25m solid. I'll choose that color code. Also I'll add min height of 9m. Lastly we'll add padding of 0 by 1m. Next is I'm going to add my type button some hover effect, so I'll say type hover, open curly braces. Here I'm going to add color. Next you need to make this responsive, so I'll use media screen. media only screen, and here I'm going to add a min width of 1024. Okay, so anything under 1024 pixel. Okay, open your curly braces. Here I'm going to start with the global one, like I'm going to say header, and I will say overflow to be hidden. Also next is we're still doing the general. Okay, and I'll say img. I'll say object position to be 50% by 80%, or let's say 100% this time, to make sure it's responsive. Next is our class container. This one I'll give padding 2m. Also next is header nav. For this one I'll say object fit, or you can say flex direction to be row. Sorry, should be not flex rep, should be flex direction. Okay, I'll choose row. Next I'm going to say justify content to be space between. Make sure you close with semicolon. Next is my header menu link. For this one I'll add padding, so I'll say 1.5 m. Okay, so next is our button, ghost button. For this button I'll say color to be, I'll give that color code. Next also we need to add a hover effect, so again I'm going to say ghost button hover, color, so for this one, first one, yeah, I'm going to add a font size of 0.75 m. Okay, I think that's okay now. So we are done with the first button. So next I'm going to add we're still in the media. So next I'll say is my header content. So I'll start with header content. So let me just scroll up and see if we added anything in our header content. So for our header content here, let's just come here. So for our header content, I'll say position to be relative. Also next is my header img. For this one here, I'm going to just copy this, all of this box shadow. So that's why we have some shadow on our image, around our image. Okay, so we have dark, normal, light, but I'm going to change this one. So this one, instead of this one, I'll say 2m. Okay, in order to be responsive. Also this one I'll make it 4, and lastly this one I'll say 6. Next is height. I'll add a height, and for our height I'll say 55 view width. Also we'll add margin of 0, position to be absolute. Also I'm going to say right to be negative 16 view width. Also, I'm going to say top 0 view width, and for my width I will add 55 view width. Let me just arrange this, organize it. So there it is. So after this, lastly is my header description. Choose header description. For this one, I'll add margin of 6m by 3m, and then lastly 0. Max width of 50 view width. Sorry. Lastly is our header title. For our header title, I'm going to give it font size of, here I'm going to use the curl. So I'll say maybe let's say 1 view width plus 2.5 m. Okay, 2.5 m. Make sure you close your semicolon. So that one we're done. Next, I'm going to say media screen. Let me just add only screen, and this time I will say I'm not going to use min width. I'm going to say, instead of min width, I'm going to say min height. Okay, for our min height I'll say 1024 pixel, 1024 pixel. Also here I'm going to add orientation landscape. So instead of landscape, I'm going to say portrait. Portrait. Okay, this one I'll say and. Okay, so we created this orientation to be portrait, and we added min height of 1024 pixel, and here I'm going to say header content. Sorry, should be content, no description. Header content. I'm going to say margin top to be 15 view height. Simply save this file, come back to your web browser, refresh it. I know this looks weird because of our navigation, so we're going to correct that. So come back to your text editor. So guys, if we come back to our text editor, so we need to make few changes like the height and the width of our website, header design website. So let's start with our index.html, and I think we have there's something wrong with our containers. So let's just inspect this. This is our second, third container. So we are missing one more container. This is the flex container. You can see this is where we misspelled. So correct that mistake. Simply Control S to save your file. Now go back to your web browser, refresh your web page. Now you can see we have our list items, but still we haven't solved the issue or this problem. Our button. You can see this button is way bigger. Maybe it has to do with the height and the width. Okay. So come back to your text editor. Let's go to the first button, that is ghost button. This way I'm going to make changes. So for this one I'll say min, instead of min height, just say min width. Okay. Also let's go to our second button, that is type button. This one I'll give it min width also. So save that file or click Ctrl S to simply save your file. Now come back to your web browser, refresh it. Now you can see our header design website is looking nice. You can see we have this logo at the top of the page. Also, we have our list items, and you can see there's some beautiful hover effect. Now you can see underline. This is due to text decoration where we have set an underline. Next we have is our button. You can see there's some beautiful hover effect on this button that changes from the black to orange. Also, we have this title, Halloween trick or treat. Also, we have a small paragraph. And lastly, we have this is our second button where we say the type button. You can see this button, there's also hover effect. And lastly, we have our image, and our image is surrounded by box shadow using the border, CSS border. Okay. Now we are going to see this if this header design website is responsive. Simply right click, then click inspect to see if this header design is responsive. Now you can see if we zoom and zoom in, you can see this website is responsive. Now that's how you create a responsive header design website using only HTML and CSS. And that's all for our today's video. We have finished creating our responsive header design by using only HTML and CSS. So guys, if you think this video was very helpful, kindly please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also share with your fellow developers. So till next time, bye.